Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Dudley, and I'm going to go over the impact of systemic racism, specifically on infant mortality. Now, before we get too far, I did want to say that I do have a podcast. The link is on weebly.com here. So, what is systemic racism? Systemic racism is the racism in our system or our society. We see it in hospitals, housing, jobs, like basically any part of our life, you will see systemic racism. Unfortunately, there is a presence there. Now let's go more in depth. Systemic racism does impact infant mortality. And black infants are twice as likely to die before their first birthday compared to white infants. And there are some statistics that we'll go over as well later on in the slides. This does tie into unequal care in hospitals. So mothers and infants who are black mothers and infants typically are not taken as seriously in the hospital setting. And I can say, and this is going a little bit off script here, as a mother myself, I could say that during one of the most vulnerable periods of my own life was when I had my daughter and I was in the hospital. I could never imagine not being taken seriously when it came to that whole situation. If I had asked for specific help, it would have been, wonderful to be listened to, and I can't imagine. This is very unfair for everybody involved. But it's not just about what happens in the hospital, it's also about daily life. So, health outcomes are affected by poverty, stress, racism, and unsafe neighborhoods. So, and then I have a quote here that says, disparities in parental outcomes are rooted in a broader societal and contextual factors. Now let's go into that a little bit more. So obstetric racism has to do with how black women are mistreated during pregnancy and birth. Again, going back to that one of those first slides, it's not just it's not just bad doctors, it's a whole system. So if you have a whole system who's not taking anything seriously, and there's abuse and medical malpractice that goes along with it, that's where there's that real problem there. It's not just with one individual, it's an entire system. So again, racism is in every system, unfortunately. We could see it in schools, housing, jobs, and it all does connect back to those health outcomes. So, again, being treated unfairly can cause a lot of health issues like slower labor, and it affects birth rates and overall stress on the mom and the baby. But really, the numbers speak loudly. They speak louder than words. Numbers always speak louder than words. And there are stats from the CDC that show that this crisis is real and it's happening right now. Now, there are some things that do help minorities, minority women with having infants and having those babies. One is doulas and midwives. A doula or a midwife, if you are unaware, they are somebody who kind of steps in and actually acts as a support system for mothers who are in labor. So you kind of get in contact with those doula and midwives prior to having the baby. And that's one way that they're able to kind of have some advocacy. So, unfortunately, this has been going on for a very long time. Systemic racism in healthcare has been going on for a long time, and it has a very painful history and past. So, reproductive control has been used as a form of racial oppression against black women throughout U.S. history. That's a quote from Robert D.E. From the 1997 Killing the Black Body. So, racism, poverty, and poor housing are the deeper causes to poor health. Say, for example, you're not able to get good housing, then you're not able to really necessarily take care of yourself the way that you should be able to and allowed to. And those all stem back again to, unfortunately, poverty and racism. Now let's circle back to the main point. What can we do? So, systemic racism harms Black moms and babies by not being taken seriously when they go into the hospital. They are not listened to with their concerns, and they're not being, treated fairly. So, what can we do? It all boils back down to the fact that systemic racism is racism, and we defeat it. And I love this quote. It says, "To eliminate racial disparities in health, we must eliminate racism itself." And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You guys all have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.